going to talk to you about Erikson's 8-stage theory of psychosocial development. The theory is useful because it can work as a therapeutic guide, going beyond focusing on symptoms to locating the possible developmental issues that might be the root cause of these symptoms. It can also provide a context for curriculum development that targets not only academic, but also the psychosocial growth of children. The first stage, trust versus mistrust, takes place between birth and about a year and a half. And at this time, infants really need consistent love, care, economic security, play, and happiness provided to them. And in such a context, they will develop a sense of hope, feeling that life is worth living and that they're trusted and that others trust them as well. So this is the foundation for interdependence. However, if they're not receiving consistent care or care is harsh, they may instead develop feelings of distrust towards the world and to their own ability to influence events. And this can lead to them generally withdrawing from the world and from their caregivers. The next stage, autonomy versus shame and doubt, takes place between a year and a half and 3 years old. Now, the trust from the first stage can be extended outward to the limits of the child's social world. The child needs to explore the limits of their abilities here, and they need to do this in an encouraging context. In such a context, they will develop a sense of will, the will to act and the will to control the self without losing their self-esteem. However, if preschool teachers and parents are overly controlling or they treat the child like a nuisance, then the child may begin to doubt their ability to discern socially appropriate behavior, and they may just start to act in a compulsive fashion, which will attract more control from their caregivers and punishment as well, and this can lead to feelings of shame and inadequacy. The next stage, initiative versus guilt, takes place between 3 to 6 years of age. And now the strength of will can be extended into the child's interpersonal skills. So when they're initiating play and conflict resolution with their children, they really need a lot of support and encouragement here. And in this kind of context, a very supporting, encouraging one, they will develop a strength of purpose. They'll feel confident in their abilities and their interests and their ability to take a lead and take responsibility, because they will be internalizing a morality-based sense of self-regulation as well. But again, if they are treated with too much criticism, control, or treated like a nuisance, they will develop excessive guilt, because they do need a bit of guilt to internalize a conscience, but if it's excessive, then it can lead to inhibition of initiative, where the child will tend to act like a follower more so. And also they may internalize rage that they have towards those that are overly controlling to them. The next stage, industry versus inferiority, takes place between 6 to 12 years of age, and now the strength of purpose from the last stage can be extended to industrious activities. And at this stage, children really need teachers and parents to praise them for their accomplishments, and when they fail, they need to be encouraged to keep trying. And with all this encouragement and praise, they will develop a strength of competence. And this means that they're able to bring their productivity to completion. Rather than simply playing, they are starting to develop a work ethic. However, if expectations are too high, can't meet those expectations of teachers, parents, and peers, they may develop excessive feelings of inferiority and low self-esteem and a lack of motivation or inertia. For the next 4 stages, I'm going to use the status approach to describe them, and this will highlight what the most common statuses are that individuals hold at each of the next 4 Erikson stages. Next stage is identity versus role diffusion, and this takes place between 13 to 26 years of age. And this is about exploration and commitment to occupational, sexual, and ideological roles. The first status here is identity diffusion, and this means that individuals they're really not committing to anything here. They're just kind of seeking instant gratification, taking whatever the easiest role is in the moment. The next status, foreclosure, means that they are quick to commit without any exploration. The next status, moratorium, or also known as exploration, means they're really trying hard to find their identity, but they just aren't sure yet. And it's quite a painful stage, lots of stress and overwhelm, but very necessary to make it to the last status, which is identity achievement, meaning they have explored their alternatives and they have made commitments. There are also alternative identity statuses that have been proposed for female identity. The first of these being the unexamined status, which means that the female person accepts externally assigned female identities. The next status is crisis, meaning that she becomes aware of gender inequities. The next status is exploration, which means that she is searching for a new female identity. And the last status is achieved, where she forms a new female identity, but instead of being based on the external, this time it's based on the internal, so on her own values, beliefs, and abilities. The next Erikson stage is intimacy versus isolation, and this takes place between 18 to 40 years of age, and it's about sharing the newly minted identity in deep, intimate commitment. The first status is intimate, and this means that the individual's identity is strong enough that it can be temporarily lost in the merger of love and then recovered. The next status, pre-intimate, means that the individual has the capacity for intimacy, but they're just not in a relationship right now. The next status, pseudo-intimate, means that the individual is in a commitment context like marriage, but there isn't actually any intimacy going on, so they probably don't really feel like they know their spouse and they don't feel known. The next status is isolate, and this means that they either don't have relationships at all or they have very emotionally detached ones like one-night stands, and they're probably uncomfortable getting close to people. The next stage is generativity versus stagnation, and this takes place between 30 to 65 years of age, and it's about caring behavior and its expansion, so caring about your own children or other people's children, aging parents, important creative projects, or the community. And the first status here is generative, which means that an individual is able to balance care for oneself and others without burning out. The next status is pseudo-generative, which means that individuals appear caring, but actually they expect something in return. And then we have the conventional status, which means that they do care, but only for those who conform to their conventions. And the stagnant, self-absorbed status means that individuals don't actually have adequate ego development to bear genuine care, so they feel empty, depressed, and apathetic. Last stage is integrity versus despair, and this may take place anywhere from 55 onward. This is about accepting the past and accepting the end. And the status you really want to avoid here is despairing, which means that individuals are filled with bitter regret for the past because they didn't rise to challenges, take risks, or open their hearts, and they feel little affection or affiliation with others. The next status is non-exploratory. These individuals are solid in their commitments and relationships, but they don't reflect very much on the meaning of life, and they don't usually go to therapy either. The next status is pseudo-integrated, and these individuals might present a facade of uplifting platitudes, but they haven't actually accepted the past. And the last status, integrated, the one that we will ideally end up at, means that individuals are very committed to their beliefs, they feel whole, and they feel connected to others through caring detachment, which is also described by Erikson as wisdom, and they also are able to integrate the feelings of despair they do have, so they're able to fully feel those feelings and process them. This concludes my summary. Thank you for your attention. Do you have any questions?